Hey there, this is Alex, and in this week's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about data mesh. This is a concept that has been around for a couple of years now. The first time that was mentioned was around 2019 when Zhamak published an article on Martin Fowler's blog about it, describing the principles and giving a high-level overview. So in this week's video, I wanted to do exactly that. I'm going to talk about data mesh, different architectural viewpoints, kind of why I think it's a very powerful idea and why I think this is where the industry should move and how can we make that happen. So if you're interested in this concept, I encourage you to keep watching. So let's get started. So what is data mesh? The concept has been around since Zhamak first coined the term in December 2019 with the article that I linked below, and she published a subsequent article later in 2020 that I'm also highly encourage you to check it out. The core idea behind data mesh is to give an organization the ability to build distributed data domain driven systems. So this means having the ability to build a system that is specific within a domain that allows you to process data and have that process be secure, available, and transparent so you can actually understand what the process is doing. So now that we have a very buzzwordy understanding of what data mesh is trying to do, let's figure out the problem that is really trying to solve. So the problem that data mesh is really trying to solve at the core is that a lot of organizations nowadays have a centralized monolithic data lake architecture, which doesn't really allow for visibility, and it's bottlenecked by mainly engineering tasks. So being able to remove this bottleneck is what data mesh is trying to do and provide a more open and easy to understand infrastructure. So I'm going to cover a little bit about the core principles that I think that's crucial to understand the architecture of data mesh. So I think one of the core principles is understanding and treating data as a product. In organization nowadays, we're trying to build data-driven decisions, and we're trying to build systems and processes around data. So making sure that we treat data as a real product rather than something that we generate out of a process or a system. So the idea of treating data as a product, what does that mean? From an engineering perspective, this means building tools that make data points self-describing, trustworthy, also interoperable, and very secure. So these are a few of the characteristics that a data product has to do. This brings us to kind of a second principle of data mesh. And this is the idea of having a data platform and a self-serve infrastructure. So I think there is great opportunity, at least right now, to build some sort of tools that allows us to abstract as much of the setup and configuration tool that needs to be done, whether it's that on cloud or on-prem, to configure security access, have some sort of management configuration so we can understand what that data product is about. I think there's a lot of opportunities there to build new tools that try to generalize and try to abstract as much of that complexity away from developers as much as possible. So as we're trying to develop and implement all of these data products, we're going to come across issues like how are we going to integrate data products with each other. So this is where I think there's a lot of work that can be done in trying to standardize lots of data formats. So there's going to be a lot of talking and a lot of discussion in trying to understand something like what kind of best data formats are going to be there, and what are some best standards and practices that we can all agree upon in the development communities that we can keep using, and then we can standardize across those and being able to build tools around those. So if there's anything that I want you to remember out of this video related to data mesh, is that data should be always linked to a domain. A lot of their organizations nowadays are going to be domain driven. So I think that it only makes sense that our data infrastructure follows our business and logic. I think that now we are at a point in our engineering development where this is going to be a huge focus, where a lot of resources are going to be devoted in trying to build some sort of infrastructure that allows to be able to create value out of data and create meaningful insights that can be actionable in a timely manner, because nowadays companies have huge amounts of friction from trying to get some insights out of their data. So being able to make that process as frictionless as possible, I think, is where a lot of value can be generated in today's society. I'm really excited on the direction of which the data engineering field and the overall enterprise software architecture is going, because I think that trying to find valuable data at scale is going to be quite meaningful for us to be able to grow as a society overall in the future. So I'm really excited to try to help as much as possible. I'm currently doing some research on my own to try to develop free resources, open source, that can help developers, automate and be able to create as much value as possible out of all their data that they have access to. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me, whether in the comments or ping me on LinkedIn, GitHub. Just get in touch with me if you're interested in working on stuff like this. So until next video, I'll see you guys then. Bye!